This lonely orphan was so disgusting nobody even bothered naming him, but he soon met a dark knight who groomed him into becoming the prince of all demons, and eventually the king. Long ago, the world was split into two realms. Floating above the clouds lied a kingdom throned by a noble white cat, who fell madly in love with a muddy black cat in the kingdom of darkness on the ground below. And that was how it all began. Our main protagonist, whose name is never mentioned, comes out of his hut to meet with the town elders for a hunting session and hopefully return with enough food for the village. One of the elders is excited to have some juicy meat after a long time, but deep inside he wished to live in the noble kingdom high up in the skies, where everyone could live without a worry in the world. Practically all of the people were suffering in the kingdom below as they lived in poverty and tyranny. Suddenly a guy who went scouting rushes in, screaming that vicious monsters are coming to slaughter them. Without a moment to spare, the monsters break through the gate and begin wreaking havoc upon the defenseless people. Panic spreads like wildfire as everyone runs to grab anything at their disposal to use as a weapon. The townswoman tasks the young boy to be in charge of all the children and to take them to a cave located at the outskirts of the town. The town starts to become under heavy attack. Meanwhile, the young boy quickly departs with the children. However, one of them trips over a rock, slowing them down, and suddenly a centipede monster appears and uses this opportunity to his full advantage to prey on them. In epic fashion, the young boy springs into action as he pulls out a dagger and takes on the scary beast. But it turns out its skin is harder than metal, so his slash does virtually nothing. The monstrous centipede manages to kill several of the children, and the young boy is left with only a pair of siblings. Realizing this beast is too powerful, they try to escape. But as the monster is right on their ass, the brother decides to sacrifice himself, telling the young boy to go and to take care of his sister. Eventually, the young boy reaches a cave with the little girl, but in the end she dies anyway due to the poison from the centipede. The young boy is devastated. At nightfall, he carries the little girl and heads back to the village only to find it dead silent. Everywhere his eyes would meet, he only saw dead bodies of the people he once knew. Not a single soul was left alive. In sheer despair, he picks up a shovel and starts digging a mass grave for his village all by himself. Days go by until we see a mysterious knight traveling alone. When he comes across our nameless protagonist digging, he reveals that he was in search of a village, to which the young boy says that it's gone. He offers the young boy some bread and tells him that he would die a meaningless death if he keeps digging like this alone. The knight introduces himself as Skier and sits with the young boy. He asks him his name, to which the young boy replies that he doesn't have one and to just call him whatever like the villagers once did, and thus he doesn't mind Skier calling him anything as well. The young boy asks Skier why the King of Darkness allows dangerous monsters to run rampant in this world, and Skier replies that the king has his own concerns and isn't bothered about superficial things like people's happiness. The young boy then decides to continue digging and tells Skier to leave him alone, as he believes he doesn't understand what he is going through. What he is doing may look pointless to everyone else, but this is what he feels he must do. He tells Skier that there's no point obsessing over the land and sky, as everyone is the same when you're in a hole. Suddenly, Skier throws a sword at the young boy and tells him to pick it up, and stoically proclaims that there's a better way about this than digging a big grave. On instinct, the young boy picks up the sword and unsheathes it. Without hesitation, he goes head to head against Skier, who charges at him, and being way more experienced, he's easily able to break the young boy's guard multiple times. While fighting, Skier reveals that he was once the fool who tried to become the King of Darkness, but he wasn't chosen, and that the right to bestow death or life belonged to one person and one person only, the King of Darkness. During their skirmish, Skier makes the young boy realize that the only way he could possibly achieve his goals of making this country a better place is to become the King of Darkness himself. Skier makes him realize the sour reality that the young boy now needed to accept. No divine help would change his fate, he alone would have to do that. The young boy declares that he will become king and do whatever it takes. He charges towards Skier with all his strength and actually manages to thwart Skier's sword away. Skier begins eerily laughing, which confuses the young boy. He says that he never thought such a miracle would be waiting for him at the end, and moments later he falls to the ground. The young boy immediately shows concern for his short-lived master, who reveals that he was nearing the end of his life. Skier instructs him to take his sword and head to the capital, where he has a mansion, further revealing that he's actually from a noble family, and the one who bears that sword is considered its head. Skier tells the young boy to take the sword once again, and declare that he is the Prince of Darkness, successor to the King of Darkness. He also tells him about a knight called Valis, who he's sure will look after him if he sees his skill with a sword. Skier says he's been an empty shell for a long time and that his power of darkness was fading, hence he would soon perish. The world is not right as it stands, and entrusts the young boy to change it in his reign. Bearing a heavy burden on his shoulders, the young boy tears up over Skier's body, releasing a wave of light. This shocks Skier as the young boy was born in the dark, but was able to bring forth such a light just from his tears. Before finally passing, Skier says he's counting on him, and with a newfound cause the young boy is determined to become the King of Darkness's successor, with the goal of making everyone in this world happy. Meanwhile, above the clouds, a horde of darkness approaches the White Kingdom. Refusing to give up the progenitor rune to the darkness, Queen Iris uses her weapon powered by the rune that creates a magical beam strong enough to significantly thin out the enemy numbers. The progenitor was a rune that was the most powerful out of all the other runes, which is why the monsters of darkness want it so badly. The brave knight Fuse leads the other knights of light into battle as they risk their lives to protect their queen and the rune. Iris's sister, a priestess named Shiama, also uses the power of the runes to cast a shield spell over the knights for extra protection. After successfully driving out the monsters of darkness, Queen Iris heads back to her castle. Knight Fuse's younger brother, called Theo, is excited to see his older brother along with the slim, thick priestess Shiama, who are returning from the battle. Shiama shares her concerns, believing that Iris is hesitating to kill the King of Darkness, since she believes darkness is essential for balance in the world. Fuse brushes off her concerns, reassuring Shiama that Queen Iris was wholly committed to kill the King of Darkness. On the other hand, Iris meets up with one of the priests, as she is worried about the next possible attack from the darkness. Hence, she decides to train the forces in advance. Meanwhile, the nameless young boy meets up with the Dark Knight Valis, who notices the boy carrying Skier's sword. Mistaking the boy for a thief, Valis instantly tries to retrieve his late master Skier's sword by force. The young boy then informs him that Skier is dead, but Valis assumes this means he was the one who killed him, so he launches a dark spell attack at the young boy. However, he realizes that this young boy was no match for Skier as he put him to the ground so easily, and asks why he came. The young boy tells Valis that Skier had entrusted him to be the next King of Darkness, and bestowed him with his noble sword, swearing him as the Prince of Darkness. Realizing he's telling the truth, Valis immediately sheathes his sword, and guides the boy to Skier's manor. Back at the castle in the White Kingdom, Shiama finds Queen Iris praying to the progenitor rune. Shiama jokes that Iris looked more like a priestess than a queen, and asks if the entire country of darkness was after the progenitor rune. Iris informs her that it is true, and the King of Darkness is the main one selfishly trying to obtain the progenitor rune, all while the people in the Dark Kingdom are suffering. Iris hopes that the next King of Darkness will preserve the balance like it once was in the past. However, as they were talking, a knight rushes inside the room to inform Iris about an attack on their western capital. The demon leading the attack was none other than the feared Bao, prompting Iris to immediately order Shiama to ready the troops with Fuse. We then see the majestic Queen Iris flying around in her full glory as Shiama telepathically communicates with everyone, informing the people that their kingdom is under attack by vicious monsters near Medes, the western capital. This prompts the knights to prepare their defenses to exterminate Bao, who is oh so powerful. We then see Bao attacking Medes and overpowering anyone in his way as he obliterates every strategic location where the mages were taking cover. As the monstrous Bao was about to squash the ground army with his foot, he is stopped by the formidable Lord Alantia, the leader of the elves. A squad of mages and soldiers take form as Alantia attacks Bao with the power of spirits. He manages to land a couple of blows, but the beast, unaffected by the attacks, proceeds to fight the spirits. Alantia is staggered by the sheer power the beast possessed and is puzzled about his next move, but suddenly Queen Iris of the Kingdom of Light enters the battlefield and challenges Bao head-on. She charges her sword with the power of rune and attacks Bao, who stands the attack. Bao then blows everything and everyone to dust. What a Chad. On the other hand, the squad of mages and soldiers meet two soldiers of the Dark Army who claim to be deserters and common people who were brought into war against their will. They drop their weapons and fall to their knees, but suddenly the true power of darkness takes over them, making the two of them attack the squad. Suddenly more soldiers possessed by the power of dark emerge from the dense forest, outnumbering the squad. It seemed that the queen was powerless against the mighty beast Bao. She tries to summon more power from the rune, but Alantia reminds her of the potential danger of putting too much strain on the rune. She is instead handed the support of Alantia's spirits. Seeing this new behavior, Bao is disappointed and exits the battlefield. It seems that he was destroying the city just for a fun fight and nothing else. Dawn breaks the sky and the queen oversees the injured. She finds Shiama, who informs her about the attack they just endured. On the other side, we see other royal members of the Kingdom of Dark who are arguing with each other as the king returned back to his palace. He talks to Valis and shares his desire of covering the entire world in darkness, probably because he just likes to use his phone on dark mode. He also says that coexisting with the Kingdom of Light is a stupid idea, and in order to achieve his goals he must strike down everything that comes in his way, and wishes his successors prosperity. As Valis returns back to his home, we see our very own nameless grave-digging hero sitting in Valis' living room. Since the role of Valis is to take care of every possible successor of the Dark King, he is also bound to be loyal and take care of our hero as well. Valis enlightens our hero with the quality of the king is not only to be a master of sword wielding but also a well-versed, knowledgeable person. He tells our hero that the trash way of talking is not fit for a king and he should work on improving his speech pattern while also reading books which contain all the necessary information about ruling the kingdom. As time passes, we see our hero training with Valis and taking an interest in studies. He also helps the community with daily errands. Our hero finally grows a bit stronger and he is given the Skier's old drip that he wore when he was the same age as our hero. We see another candidate of the throne named Lady Garoza, who is out in the field with her army of simps. They are faced with 3 monsters who Lady Garoza incinerates with ease. She gets caught up in her own doing and takes pride, but a surviving beast attacks her. Without much time to attack, Lady Garoza braces herself for the impact, but in the nick of time our hero comes and slashes away the beast. Lady Garoza is entranced by the hero's handsomeness and is left speechless. After her soldiers snap her out of her trance, she invites the hero out for a talk. Late at night in a local bar, Lady Garoza is telling our hero what is expected of the future. She tells him that if he works hard enough, he would be recognized as a genuine Prince of Darkness and would be granted a special sword for him to flex around the city. Unbeknownst to them, a red-haired man named Adele had been eavesdropping on their conversation.